25 minutes before 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. It is Labor Day, and looks like it's going to be a really nice day today. So if you have the day off, go do something, because you're probably getting cabin fever a little bit. The rain probably kept you indoors a lot.
Gosh.
Speaking of cabin fever, I was just looking at the place that Dan and Missy apparently are staying up in the mountains. This is a nice looking place.
Wow.
MountainRx.com. It shows pictures of it. There's one picture when it was snowing. Mountain RX is a wonderful new home at 4,700 feet with amazing mountain views year-round. The open floor plan between the kitchen, dining, and family room with wood-burning fireplace enables families to spend time together throughout the day without feeling cramped.
How nice is that? That is
sounds
beautiful.
Really nice. The house is cozy and romantic and perfect for small groups or a single couple. All 5 bedrooms have private in-room baths.
Oh, wow. Isn't that
making
nice?
them all private suites.
That's plush.
House amenities include upscale furniture, appliances, Wii entertainment system, Wi-Fi wireless internet, large 50-inch plasma TV, pool table. Man, this is a rich man's vacation.
Who would want to leave?
High-definition satellite, washer, dryer, wood floors, granite counters, outdoor hot tub, and luxury linens. Luxury linens?
Yeah, it means they're clean.
Plus, we have a full kitchen designed for the most gourmet of cooks. Our kitchen features a bread maker, a juicer, a waffle maker, a sandwich maker.
I'd have to rent that for a whole week, not just a night.
I don't need a device to make a sandwich.
Yeah.
A coffee maker, ice cream maker. There you go. If you prefer to grill outdoors, we have a gas electric barbecue grill, perfect for any meal. Wow. Well, Dan is calling in at 9 to 5
yep.
too.
Yes, he's
calling in from there, right? Isn't that where he spent last night?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's where he's at. Isn't that
Are
something?
you jealous?
Gosh, yeah, but a good kind of jealous. I am jealous.
All right.
Oh, boo.
So today's Labor Day. Let's see. Do we know these? A lot of times we do facts about Labor Day. Groveland Cleaver.
Groveland Cleaver?
I'm Grover. Said it backwards.
Groveland Cleaver.
Groveland Cleaver. No, Grover Cleveland. Sorry.
Okay.
Groveland Cleaver. I'm dyslexic this morning. Grover Cleveland made Labor Day a federal holiday in 1894 after a failed attempt to break up a railroad strike.
Good for him.
At the height of the Industrial Revolution, the average American worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. During that same time, children as young as 5 or 6 worked in mills, factories, and mines across the country.
Yeah.
Oregon was the first state to make Labor Day a holiday in 1887, meaning that Portland was always much more hip than the rest of the country. Peter McGuire, the founder of the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America, is credited with first proposing the idea of Labor Day in 1882. Matthew McGuire and Samuel Gompers have also been cited as the fathers of Labor Day, the holiday.
See, they work together.
In many other countries, May Day, May 1st, is the day working people are honored. The labor movement has called for 8-hour workdays since 1836. The idea was first established by law in 1916 with the passage of the Adamson Act, which is the first federal law regulating hours for workers in private companies. The length of the average commute in the United States, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is around 24 minutes.
That's about right.
Current number of employed American workers is 144 million. 1.6 million of those earned the federal minimum wage last year. The first Labor Day actually wasn't celebrated on a Monday. It happened on a Tuesday, September 5th, 1882 in New York City.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So while Oregon was the first one to have it as a holiday, the first time it was celebrated was 1882. I don't understand. The first Labor Day wasn't celebrated until September 5th, 1882 in New York City. But Oregon was the first state to make Labor Day a holiday in 1887.
Oh, there you go.
So they celebrated, but they were working, apparently, in New York.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, party.
All right, so in Florida,
Yep.
we are considered a right-to-work state.
Yes, we are.
And we have had this similar debate often, quite frequently, on this radio program. The debate being unions or no unions. And we have had diehard people tell us that absolutely unions are the best thing that ever happened to the American worker. There are other people who will say, no, unions are the absolute worst thing that happened to the American worker. I see it both ways. And so I would love to, I don't know if I want to engage in a debate, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this one way or the other. I will tell you my thoughts on it while we're waiting for phone calls. If you want to call in and comment, I'd love to hear 622-9622. It's Labor Day, and labor unions are an important part of this country.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, I just read to you that children were working 5 or 6. The hours was 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. There was not a whole lot of leverage that anybody had over the person who was paying them. And so unions clearly were necessary. In my mind, they really were. They made everything better. They made the wages a lot higher. They leveled the playing field between employer and employee. You know, and it
skills,
and it really right. And they demanded. Oh yes, that's a really good point.
Yep.
A union worker typically was more skilled.
Yep, because they provided schools.
And so yes, and there was so many reasons why I am absolutely sure that the argument that labor unions made a big difference in the positive for this country, I agree with that. There are many, many reasons, but I also think that corruption happened in some. Please hear the word "some" of the labor unions. Corruption happened in some of them.
Yeah.
And so those that had corruption clearly made a U-turn from the good work that they were doing and suddenly started to becoming really horrible. And in a right-to-work state like Florida, if you have a job, typically Florida has not been a high-paying state.
Exactly.
Now, you could argue, well, that's because you don't have unions. Okay? I'm not going to argue that, but you can argue it. But in this state where you don't have really high wages, in many cases, okay?
For non-union workers.
You can argue that as well. No, even union workers. Teachers don't make that much money here.
Oh, that's right.
And
that's
they're
what
in
I
the
was
union.
thinking of construction.
Firefighters are in the union. They don't really make that much money
right.
here. Okay.
That's right.
So the point is that, okay, so the worker himself has to take care of who? His family or her family. Okay, so when you say, well, you know what? We're being treated poorly, so we're going to go on strike. And then that guy says, you can go on strike. I got to take care of my family. Then the right to work makes sense to me. And of course, a lot of people don't like that because they say, well, then what's the point of a strike if you're letting people work?
Yeah.
All right, I want to answer the phone. I just want to get my thoughts out there. All right, let me. 3 callers coming in at once. Pick a number. 1, 2, 3.
Go ahead, 2.
Good morning. You're on the air. What do you think about all of this?
Well, I think what you said was exactly what I was thinking and was going to say. For years, I've heard that our country wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for unions. We wouldn't have a 5-day work week. We wouldn't have an 8-hour work week. We wouldn't get paid overtime after 8 hours. We wouldn't have vacation time. We wouldn't have medical insurance. We wouldn't have any kind of problem. Well, pensions are a thing of the past, but they were nice for some people. But at least we got the 401k plans, and the companies put some money into it. And all this is based on the unions, because prior to them, you were working 16 hours a day, and if you didn't like it, they'll find somebody else to replace you.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So unions did help us in a lot of ways, and there's some corruption, and some running up the benefits, and now you get some of the pensions can't support the new workers or the workers who are on retirement because there's the burden there is too much. So there's good, there's bad, but I would have to say there's much more good than bad, because I don't think we'd have off today if it wasn't for the union. We probably wouldn't have had off Saturday.
We need a broadcasters union. All right.
There you go.
Thank you, Linda.
Go. Yeah, you guys. Well, you guys are the ones that you're there for us. You know, you do all the blood, sweat, and tears, and you're on Christmas you're there so we can hear what's going on in the world. And but it's sad. You guess you're right, Joe. You know, You know. Right.
Thank you, Linda. Right, let me
take care.
Thank you. Let me take a break, and we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Labor Day, clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm or two in the area, the high 84 to 88. It'll end up mainly clear Monday night with a low of 66 in the coolest inland spots, 74 on the coast. For Tuesday, times of sun and clouds, high 86 to 90. For Wednesday, sunshine mixing with clouds, a thunderstorm in parts of the area, the high 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Big win at Darlington for a team that's now done it twice. I'm Joe Moore. The story next on a Labor Day edition of the Monday Morning Race Refresher.
And we're back with Kansas Speedway, who is still sorry.
That's right. I'm, really sorry to the coworkers of my fans who have to listen to all that loud talking on Monday. And sorry my drink prices won't turn your weekend into a loan application. And sorry the chase for the championship is more exciting than your last date.
The chase is on as the Sprint Cup Series Championship rolls in Sunday, October 16th for the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com.
You're welcome.
Last night's Bojangles Southern 500 was again a throwback race with paint schemes from the last 50 years of NASCAR. But Darlington Raceway proved again that it's the track too tough to tame for some of the sport's biggest teams. Kevin Harvick led the most laps, and Brad Keselowski was strong all night. But it was the Furniture Row race team that put their driver out front at the right time. And driver Martin Truex took it from there to win one of NASCAR's biggest races.
It's a huge honor to just even race here at this track, and this has been one of my favorite tracks throughout my career. I've led a lot of laps here, run up front, and seem to never finish up front. So that's kind of been the motto of our season here throughout the summer months, and it was nice to come back here tonight, turn it around. Cole made some great adjustments, and they stuck with me, and I stuck with them, and we just kept digging.
Harvick finished second with Kyle Larson third. Denny Hamlin was fourth, and Joey Logano came in fifth. The chase picture remains basically the same, with the series going to Richmond next week for the last race of the regular season. 13 winners are locked in, with 3 drivers clinging to a spot on points. Chase Elliott in by 24, Austin Dillon by 16, and Jamie McMurray is in by 7. That's the Monday Morning Race Refresher. I'm Joe Moore on the Motor Racing Network.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
You're listening to WOCA, Ocala.
All right, 12 minutes before 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Looks like we've got a nice day ahead of us today. The Northeast is a little bit affected by what's left of Hermine. And if you have any friends and family up there, basically it looks like Long Island, Connecticut, that little coast right there. Little coast, that coast right there, I should say. Anyway, today looks beautiful here, 74 degrees. It is Labor Day, and we're talking about the right to work state, which is what Florida is, as opposed to a state that does not have that, and the unions. And so, what are your thoughts on this? I'm not really calling this a debate, just getting your thoughts. Let me get the phone. Good morning. You're on the air. What do you think?
Good morning. Good morning. Union by choice, not by fiat. I have been a member of a union by choice, and I have been a member of a union by fiat. It's always better by choice.
What do you mean by fiat? What does that mean?
I don't know what that is.
Well, when you're in New York, and the company that you work for is what is called a union shop, you must join the union on the 91st day.
Oh, okay.
Whereas in a right-to-work state, it is your choice to join the union.
Okay. If you are in the union in Florida, are you obligated to strike if there's a strike, or can you go to work?
Well, I work for the Postal Service, and we are not allowed to strike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. In your case, yeah.
Yeah, but under Florida law, you are not obligated to honor the picket line.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, but will you get your tires slashed if you?
Yeah, some nasty things have happened.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jim.
All right. Have a good day.
Appreciate your thoughts. Yeah, we have a lot of circumstances in Florida where, I worked in New York a lot in my life, and always was in the union. I guess by fiat, I never knew the word, but I was always, it was like mandatory. You had to be in the union. Okay. And gosh, would I complain about it? No, because it really, really helped me out a lot. For example, you had an 8-hour workday, but that doesn't mean that as soon as the clock hit 8 hours, you went home. What it meant was that after 8 hours, you got either double pay or time and a half. It also meant that on holidays, you got either double pay or time and a half. And the other thing, I don't know if this applied across the board, but in my case, the job that I'm referring to was when I used to clean up after concerts and sporting events at the Nassau Coliseum, which I'm not even sure is there anymore, by the way. But anyway, if you had a job to do and it took less than 8 hours to do it, which very rarely happened, but once in a while it did, you still got paid for. You were guaranteed 8 hours regardless of how long the job took. That's the way it was. And a great example was after a Charlie Daniels concert, there was a big mess. I mean, the Charlie Daniels fans left the place unbelievably messy. And so it took maybe 10 hours to clean the whole place. And so we got paid 8 hours plus 2 hours of, and I can't remember if it was time and a half or double time. So it was a nice paycheck, right? After a Frank Sinatra concert, where the fans left the what do you call it, the Coliseum? Yeah, left the place super clean. I mean, it was like the Sinatra fans were so clean compared to the Charlie Daniels fans.
Yeah.
Charlie Daniels was really nice, by the way. But anyway, so I think we got the job done in an hour. That's what I remember, but it could have been 2 hours. But the point is, I got paid for 8. And so I really did benefit from it in that way. Those people who say the right to work state is a good thing, let me get one from the internet. It says they are beneficial. Talking about right to work states, they allow individuals who are unable or not qualified to work the ability to do so. Not qualified to work. I think they are a good thing. This is what somebody's writing online. More people working means more people spending, which is good for the economy and communities as well.
Well, that's true in any,
Good
circumstance.
Morning, you're on the air. Thank you for calling.
Thanks, Larry and Robin. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Both of your particular lives, Larry, your father and I think Robin's father, I imagine, when he worked for the county in Milwaukee, were unionized, I would guess. And if you look at most of the people that move to Florida, if they're not directly involved with unions or labor unions, which allowed their retirements to bring them here, then the neighbor across the street was. So, and I think from, not trying to be personal, but I think from a religious standpoint, unions also, predominantly if you work a Sunday, what they asked for in the beginning was, you're pulling me away from my family, you're pulling me away from my ability to praise my God on a Sunday. So unions also pay double time on Sunday. And I would share with the listeners, as a young boy growing up in Illinois, my father was a union worker, and on holidays, he would be gone. I would get up early with him, just to see him before he went to work, but he would make triple time. And he used to tell me, he'd say, Mark, I don't want to go, but I can make a week's wages practically in one day. And so it was out of respect of family and a religious view. So, and then also, Larry, I'm not trying to be Mr. Correction here, but when Jim called earlier, basically right to work is what Jim explained, where you have to join a union if you're in a union shop. And in states, in Iowa is a right to work state. About half of the country is right to work, unfortunately. But in Iowa, but in any state where there is right to work, you have no obligation to join a union. It really doesn't have, Larry, much to do with going on strike. That's, and a matter of fact, unions are probably more well-behaved and disciplined with behavior than they ever have been. And the question of corruption, no one said put major corporations out of business. When we had Arthur Andersen or WorldCom or Enron or AIG or there's corruption anywhere. I'm not defending union corruption, obviously, and they are prosecuted. They are prosecuted by federal laws. Labor unions, Larry, are also audited more often than private corporations. Labor unions by federal law are audited every quarter, and they send in two auditors. One is a federal auditor, and one is a civilian auditor hired by the unions, and they work shoulder to shoulder. So very well supervised. And without labor unions, if we lose unions, which we could, if unions do go away, it will not help all the other workers that are not unions. We are a group of people that hold the standard for all. By the way, this is personal, Larry. There are unions for broadcasters, even older broadcasters.
I know.
Communication workers, yeah. Okay, have a great day, you guys.
Thank you. No, I don't disagree with what Mark is saying there, and no, absolutely not. But I do have the one union that I always badmouth is the musicians union, and I'm only bad-mouthing them from my own personal experience, and I know it's very hard for anybody to really relate to this because most of you probably haven't needed a musicians union, but there is one, and it's very good. Let me say something good about them. They just weren't good for me, and that's why I think you should have the right to join or not join, and I defied them, and I'm into it now, and I know you can't relate to this, most of you, but if you were a musician playing on the Tonight Show or on some big stage or something, and there was no union, then they could get away with paying you, minimum wage, which is absurd. Somebody who works all their life to master an instrument, and they're going to get paid minimum wage.
Yeah.
So in that regard, yes, the musicians union is absolutely a good thing. But there are a lot of musicians who, I don't do it anymore, but I used to go from college to college and bar to bar and whatever you want to call everything in between, nightclubs and social, whatever. And almost every time I would play, there'd be somebody from the union asking me if I was in the union. And I would say, what will the union do for me? Well, we'll guarantee you that, this is back then, $35 an hour. And I'll say, okay, this job pays me $30 an hour. Guess what will happen if I demanded $35 an hour from this Sheraton? I played at a Sheraton in my memory. He would find somebody else.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have the job.
That's right.
And so I defied them because they were absolutely wrong in approaching me. And I actually found out later on that if you are working for yourself, as I was, the union had nothing to say with you anyway. The union for musicians applies to people like those musicians who played for David Bowie, for example, who should have been paid better. He was horrible, by the way. Everybody loves David Bowie. It's almost blasphemous to say something bad about him. But from what I heard, he paid his band members like hardly anything.
Gosh, what a shame.
So
that's a shame.
All right, getting back to what most of you can relate to, just the idea of the ability to work. If you have any thoughts on the right to work states, I do have some stuff offline. Boy, the one argument for right to work state was very weak on this list here. Let me find one that's against it. Somebody against right to work wrote online, right to work only hurts in the long run. Yes, it may seem that they help, but they don't. Right to work will now give those a job, but they can now fire you for any reason. It is a double-edged sword. Now the employer has the right to treat you like a piece of gum on his shoe. And if you want the job, the only thing you can do is take it. Unions may not be perfect, but they have their flaws, as every system does. But when push comes to shove, at least if they let me go, it'll be for a valid, deserved reason and not something stupid. Well, see, now, you could argue also that the teachers' unions make it almost impossible to let go of a bad teacher.
Yes.
In that regard, there's a double edge on the union side also here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. Thank you for the conversation. That was kind of fun. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. President Obama and Russia's President Putin meeting at the G20 summit in China, failing to work out a ceasefire plan for Syria.
The best a White House official could say was the leaders clarified their positions. Negotiators will now try to narrow the differences. Meanwhile, nations wrapping up the G20 summit, China said the world economy is picking up, but it needs more trade, not protectionism.
Fox Radio's Alistair Wanklin in Hangzhou, China. Hermine, no longer a hurricane, but still with 70-mile-per-hour winds off the east coast, slowly moving north.
Coastline, generally Long Island and southeastern New England. Most likely during the day on Tuesday, and then after that it should start to pull away from the coastline.
The National Hurricane Center's Joe Cangelosi. Tropical storm Newton, meanwhile, is forming off Mexico's Pacific coast. 2 people in New York City fatally shot during a carnival before the West Indian Day Parade. Police trying to determine if the shootings are related. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Yeah, it's me, your heart. Listen to me. We've got to talk. High blood pressure is serious, and yours? Whoa. What happened to us? We used to be so much more active. But lately you've been ignoring me. I know you think I'm just gonna keep ticking away forever, but you're wrong. You can do so much more to control your high blood pressure. Doing the minimum isn't doing enough. I'm under a lot of pressure and can quit whenever I want. Bet you didn't know that. But I like my job. Just treat me better. Check on me. Give me something green to nibble on every once in a while. And maybe we can do some exercise on occasion. Let's get to it. After all, we're in this together.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Need a mailbox rental but need more information? Remember Personal Service Center, 789-6683. How does $10 a month sound with just a 3-month commitment? Remember Personal Service Center, 789-6683. Mention WOCA and the setup fee is waived. Personal Service Center will email or text notifications to you when your packages arrive. Even scan mail so you never actually have to pick it up. Now that's service. Personal Service Center, 789-6683. Located on the corner of Northeast 25th Avenue and 24th Street, Ocala. Look for the yellow signs.
Are you wasting hundreds or thousands of dollars on termite retreat fees? If you're not with Turner Pest Control, you probably are. Turner Pest Control offers the industry's only termite and pest control package that never charges retreat fees, ever. You can get started today.